Hey, Rise and Thrivers. It is December 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are in 2023 as we are counting down to the end of this year and super excited about tonight's show. So before we even start the show, let's get very clear. What is Rise and Thrive? Who are we? And we are a vibrant community committed to educating, equipping, empowering you to get the results you want through real talk, taking some real actions, and getting real results. And how do we do that? We support you by coming here live every single week. You can catch the replay on our Facebook page, Rise and Thrive Together. And you can find us on YouTube at Rise and Thrive Together, and our special private community if you want to join that and get some other sneak peeks in there at Rise and Thrive Together now. And it's our community. So yeah, we are excited. Oh, and we're also on our favorite platform, thanks to the Laws of Life with Blanca on the Roku television channel with over 50,000 subscribers. So I'm really excited as we move forward tonight to have a very special guest who's going to be on for the second time in a round. But before we get there, when my sister talks about it, I want to pass it over and say, hello, Raquel. How are you this evening?
Hey, y'all. I'm good. I do want to tell you guys a little something about next week. Super stoked. I can't wait. I can't hold it. I'm like that person that tells everything. So next week, we have a special 1-hour episode. We are having a panel discussion on decluttering your life. And I know some of y'all like, my life is fine. I don't have clutter. Yeah, you do. I bet you if you look in that kitchen drawer that everybody has, it's got clutter in there. There's some stuff we're going to be clearing out next week. And our man, Dr. Dan Fields, will be back with us. He is one of the panelists, along with Andres Martinez, Patrice Reynolds, and Blanca Greenstein. Right?
Yep.
Those are the 4 panelists. We are super stoked. Those folks are going to give you real talk, right? To get you in real action so that you can achieve real results as we close out 2023 and enter into 2024 strong. All right. So I'm excited to bring out my brother, Dr. Dan Fields. He is a doctor of Chinese medicine and acupuncture and the founder of Orcanit Wellness and Chi Up Academy in his hometown of Oakland, California. He helps others naturally and holistically overcome their health and wellness challenges by creatively combining Eastern and Western approaches. Dr. Dan is all about making the wellness journey fun and engaging. After all, if you can smile, you can heal. He specializes in traditional Chinese medicine education, how to practically apply it, and making it an accessible option for his community. Dr. Dan inspires health and wellness and shares his expertise as a dynamic practitioner, consultant, educator, mentor, and speaker. Dr. Dan, what's up? What's up?
Hey.
Welcome again to Rise and Thrive Together.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Thank you for having me.
Good to be here. Now, Dan, our topic for the month of December, one of my favorite topics. I have a lot, but this is one of them, is your words create your reality. Before we got on air, you said, I'm confused because Regina and I were giving you words create your reality, words create your world. You're like, I'm confused. And we had a really good joke about it because it's like, well, now that you said you're confused, guess what? You will be confused. And guys, it really is just that simple. Dan is now clear, right? Dan, you clear?
I'm clear.
Sis, you clear?
Oh, I'm clear. I was like sitting there pretending that we were like giving him like that heart panel. Clear. And he's up.
We were going to resuscitate you. Dan is good. Dan is good. So, Dan, let's talk about words and words that people use to um, create life into their life or create death.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on this whole words create your reality or your words create your world?
I would say that words, they're powerful. They're spells. You know, it's creative exhaling. If you think about it, when we speak something out into the world, it's done on an exhale. So we're bringing something into the world with every word. And thoughts too. Thoughts are internal, but they permeate out, because if you look at somebody, you can tell about their demeanor sometimes, like how they feel toward another person or
Mm.
circumstance, and that can change the vibe. So when words can be like spoken and unspoken. So they absolutely can change a person's viewpoint and their world around them.
Huh.
Spoken and unspoken, right? Did you get that right? I was like,
Yeah, yeah, that's why I'm like,
I
huh.
like the spoken. I get the spoken, right? It's very like, kind of basic, at least for me, but I'd love for you to expand a little bit about the unspoken, because I know for those viewers that didn't get to check out the last time Dr. Dan was on a few weeks ago, always you can find it on our Facebook page and definitely on our YouTube channel. But like, let's go a little bit about the unspoken. So
Mhm.
like, let's go a little dig deeper there and share a little bit more what you mean about that unspoken that still makes an impact.
Okay. So I'm going to start with the external to build some relativity and then pull it into the external. So, like, we can tell when a person's irritated, we can tell when a person's upset, but it's very difficult to tell when a person is vexed or when they are experiencing vexation, because it's something that doesn't express on the outside. They may be helpful and interact with you and show care and consideration for you, but on the inside, they're just waiting for you to slip up. They're
Ooh.
waiting for you to have a moment of vulnerability in order to act upon this injustice that they feel. And so that feeling of vexation, what they're looking for in life is an opportunity to get even.
Oof.
Wow.
So that can you say that is that more intentional, right? Because I can definitely say for myself, it's sometimes not conscious awareness, right? Like on the outside, when I put on that like face, like Raquel and I spoke about that last week, she was having a moment and she like needed to scream, and get it out, but she knows how to then, the minute the camera's on, I'm very good at that as well. And then there's that like, we kind of stuff it, fake it till you make it, which is something that they've researched now and shown that that's not healthy, right? But we can put on the fake face on the outside, inside, and then something might trigger. You might say a word, Raquel might say something. I might even hear a noise that'll trigger that internal that like, is happening. And then that whole outside perception of me then goes down because, I can just be attacking or upset. But when you're saying intentional, like that just hits me from like a whoa, like on the outside, and then they're waiting for you, like pouncing on you, like prey. That is not a world that I want to be in. So can you give us some like how can we, because now I'm just like, okay, like everybody out there not trusting you, right? You're gonna, I'll walk around and be like, are you ready to pounce on me? Are you ready to like, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, well, I mean, there's warranted and unwarranted, right? Like, karma says it's a reflection of what we put out in the world. Our dharma is the decision that we've chosen to put out in the world, and the moksha is the endless opportunities that a person could choose from. That's the trinity: karma, dharma, and moksha. Like those three, they kind of go hand in hand, similar to Chinese medicine's three treasures. So like, when we're looking at, you ask the question of like internal worlds, like there are thoughts that are high thoughts, you have thoughts that are very humanistic, and then you have very like earthly thoughts, right? Animalistic thoughts. And so when we are moving energy through our body, we're trying to transform the animalistic into something a bit more human, to something a little bit more divine, something that's a little bit more pure and clear. Another metaphor would be like, we're all carbon based. And so when you put carbon under pressure, it either will crumble or it becomes very clear. And so the words that we use in our world, you have to be very clear about the intention. Like today is an excellent example. This morning I woke up, I felt motivated. I got up, I said, you know what, I'm going to go and train with Sifu Eileen Husso with Wudong West. I'm going to get out at 7:30 and be in the cold and enjoy myself. And I did. And while we were doing it, we had this exercise where we were shaking. And she was like, you can't be angry when you're shaking. And we're doing the shaking. And I make a joke. I was like, oh, look, I got a parking ticket. I just can't be mad. And when I got to the car, I had a parking ticket. So I stood with the ticket and I was like, I'm going to make a video. And I stood there shaking. And I was like, you know, I really can't get mad about this parking ticket. And so words do manifest in the real world. And it was like, I felt it in myself. It was the inner world. It was that I shared one of my inner thoughts. Like, I'm going to get a parking ticket. And the person I was walking with was like, that's very intuitive of you. You called it before it happened. I'm like, yeah, I should probably be more intentional about the things that I call.
Right?
I should have been like, oh, look, I just found a winning lotto ticket that says blue on the side and misread, you know. But instead, I manifested a parking ticket.
It reminds me of be careful what you wish for, right? Like the conversation of be careful what you wish for. Now it's very like, take a moment and stop and think about what comes out of your mouth, like, and really get, I think even not even think, right? But like get present, like get intentional, the word that really resonated, like be intentional about what's going through your mind. Cause we've done a whole year's worth almost on that, right? You know, we're up to like 100,000 thoughts a day now, they upped it to. So like, you know, who has time to really get aware of all of that? But when you're out there, like intentional, speaking to someone, speaking as you're walking to your car and you're joking, like, hey, I can't get mad if I get a ticket. Meanwhile, that's like, let's play around. Let's have that karmic joke. Can you get mad now?
Yeah, exactly. Like, was that a word or was that part of your practice?
Oof.
And so
a couple of things hit for me. I will never have Dan speak for me on my behalf. Because the other thing that I found interesting is there was a difference when you were speaking, and Dan, and you talked about the internal and the external, and sometimes they're in conflict. And one is going to supersede the other. Which one, and if you can answer it, which one is the one that we show most? Is it our external or internal?
I think the one that gives us the path of least resistance. And so that's what we get the term code switching from, because people are switching up what it is they meant, switching up how they carry themselves, switching up however, whatever, in order to create a smooth transition. They're trying to avoid friction. They're avoiding conflict. They're avoiding pressure and stress in many cases. And yeah, that's the path of least resistance. So like if it's an external thing, like, I mean, even in my practice, there are times in which like I may have an opinion that would conflict with a doctor's opinion. And then I have to be impartial for my patient's sake and consider what is the best option for them, not the option I would choose for myself.
Yes.
And so that's an internal external relationship where one's pulling and one's pushing. And so I kind of have to use questions and really decipher what the patient needs and then allow that to guide the next steps. And so like in day-to-day life, you know, you could test the waters, but then when you see that somebody's like when somebody else starts to escalate and you have the capacity to tone down, you know, because the words and then also here's another one, double negatives and double positives, right? Like not bad, like, oh, this is not bad versus pretty good, you know. That kind of language, it makes a huge difference, right? Like don't hate, appreciate. Like there's two negatives and one positive word in there. Hate, like that's the one thing that you're doing. You're like avoiding hating. It's saying my natural inclination, the inference is I am a hater. And so I am working on hating on others and I am seeking appreciation versus like I am appreciative and supportive. right? I appreciate and uplift. I'm with it, right? I'm with you and appreciate you. I see you. Like things that have a positive connotation, you know, like that don't allude to some other kind of it can't be taken out of context, you know. Pretty good. How do you take that out of context when it's really easy to take not bad out of context? I'm like, wow, this interview is going not bad, right? Versus like, wow, this interview is going pretty good. You see, the body language is the same, but the word change, like this and not bad seems like but this and pretty good is like I'm getting comfortable, maybe. You know, like I think that there's more than just those factors, more than just the internal and external. There's also like, what is the goal? What's the purpose of interacting? What's the purpose of using these tools anyway? What are you seeking out of it? Or is it being used for the sake of, you know, the ethic or the expectation of our society or of that pod that you're interacting with?
You just schooled me, like brought me back to, you know, when you were saying that double, you know, like don't hate. Because, you know, you just brought me way back. I can hear my English teacher of 6th grade. Like, really? Because she's like, you understand that's a double negative, right? And that you've just gave it like so much power. So you really do feel that way. And I'm like, no, I'm saying like that's not that. And she's like, so you don't say it that way. But we've been so wired of slang, right? Like that's I walked because I'm like, there was nothing wrong with that until you kept on going on. And then I could hear her in my head. And I was like, oh yeah. You know, like really that perception is I'm a hater. And then by the time that little drop of that, you know, positive thing is like, I can positively hate you, you know, like in like, you know, sorry, but not sorry kind of thing. That was really important. So that's what so now the whole theme for me shifts for the rest of this year of intentional language, right? Our words create a reality, and like how intentional are we going to be? And what are some of those steps to support us? So I'll throw it back to you. What are some of those steps, if you have any, to support us around our words and intentionality?
Yeah, I would say to have at least like 3 positive affirmations that you can say daily, just like meals, something at breakfast, something at lunch, something at dinner. And being able to practice using positive affirmations and try using double positive affirmations. It may feel funny in your mouth at first, but then just think back to like your grandparents. Like for me growing up, I watched my great aunts and uncles and my grandmother playing dominoes, right? We call it bones, right? And when they would get out there and they'd be slamming the bones, grandma would talk the most smack in the sweetest way. She would say things like, oh, bless your heart. You and your arithmetic are helping this game progress. That's 35. And you're just like, dang, she just told me that my math ain't that good. And I just said 35 points. You know, and so it's like to learn to have that same level of care and consideration and curate the words that we use. So then now you have this like Rolodex of positive words, right? Like, you know, it may not feel right today, but like, you know, grandma says, bless your heart. Other people may be like, man, do you, man? Do you? It's like, do you sometimes can be another way of like just you're like, all right, do you, right? Just something that's not like, okay, not bad, right? Like if the double negative is something that you're prone to, then find your 3 positive affirmations, maybe come up with a few quick double positive phrases and see how they feel in your mouth. You can even be a crazy person and practice them while watching Netflix, you know? I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes saying...
You see my face? I was like, okay, what? I got the double practice it, but what? Why Netflix? And what's that about?
I'm saying when you are in your recreational time and space, whether it be watching videos, listening to music, or just sitting and smelling incense and just enjoying your environment, try out a few double positives and see if you can work them into your day-to-day conversation. Throw it at a barista, throw it at a waiter, throw it at a toll person. Practice it on whoever, on the interactions of people who you'll never see again, because this is how you limit vexation. Because there's always that one person who's on the verge, they're on the edge, and it just takes that one person to make a positive choice to say, hey, I appreciate that one little thing you did. Hey, thanks for holding the door for that lady. I saw what you did. And they go, somebody saw me. Some kind of positive contribution to someone
Wow.
else.
That's hot.
Wow, that's so
I'm
awesome.
typing all these out.
Odelia says, I don't like to use the word try. You do it or you don't do it. Odelia, yeah, I have some kind of issues a little bit with the word try. For me, though, when people say, I'll try, I'm going to try, I'm going to try, it means to me there's room for excuses. Right? For you to then say, well, I tried. And then my question would be, well, how hard did you try? Did you really try? Or did you just say that? So sometimes we also use empty words. Right? So Dan, what about those folks that use these empty words like, yeah, I'll try, or let's catch up. That's my favorite one. I never know what that means. Let's catch up. Are we catching up in a day, a week, a month, a year? Like, what is with these empty words?
Empty words, I think, are a result of a lack of community in many cases. Because when you're in community and you say you're going to do something, people hold you accountable for it. If I'm in a group of people who see me on the regular and I say, all right, I'm gonna bring cookies next week, and I show up next week without cookies, they're gonna be like, hey, where are the cookies? You said you were gonna do it, and now they're not here. And so then that's a nick on my quality of word, on my integrity. And so our society does not encourage to the same degree as it did in the past integrity. Even like in the way that things are built, you'll see that everything has a planned obsolescence, right? So they need things to break down over a certain amount of time, which is calculatable in order to manage profits. Yes, smartphones, cases, clothing and material. There was a time that you would have a coat and it would last you a lifetime, and all you did was patch in certain places and fix. But nowadays people have wardrobes worth of just coats, and they're on rotation, and they're constantly like buying and selling, giving away, buying, selling, giving away, and they keep this rotation. So it's like we have this consume mentality, but no like sit down, nurture, and do it the right way the first time. I said that last time, just slow down. Doing less sometimes is doing more.
Yeah. I just take the first part of that. And I'm not going to tell y'all what it is because y'all should have been listening to what Dr. Dan said. Tips. Tip by Dr. Dan. Practice 3 positive affirmations a day. Curate the words we use. Build that muscle. Some of y'all don't like to go to the gym because you don't want to build the muscle. Can you build this muscle up here? Can we do that? Odelia, it is like should. When I start my sentence with should, with I should, I know something is wrong.
Yeah, like should try. Like I should try, right? The hollowness of it. So growing up, I did scouting, and my sister also did scouting, and I had the opportunity to hear the scout oath for boys and for girls, Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts say, on my honor, I will do my best to do my duty, blah, blah, blah. The girls say, on my honor, I will try to do my best. And in order to receive an Eagle Scout award, there's a board of review of people who you do not know as a youth. And these are adults who are going to test the integrity of the years of scouting to see that you didn't just follow the requirements and not collect the message. And that was one point that I brought up in my board was that, well, why is it that the women are told to try and men are told to do? And doing something doesn't always lead to the result that you wanted, but you still put an effort, which is different than trying. Trying gives you, like you said, an out versus putting an effort and doing your absolute best and working towards some whole number, creating something better or new from the effort that you just put in. And then if you miss the mark, that's okay. You just learned one new way on how not to do it. And so being able to celebrate the loss, right? We invest in loss. And we always look for opportunities to lose, because when you get really good at losing, you start to recognize where your real strengths lie, because then you stop encountering loss as often. So then when loss does show up and it becomes so infrequent, you really celebrate it, because you're like, wow, look at all of this time it took before I fell into that vacuum again.
Wait, Dan, go back and say that again about
Right?
loss. What? Losing? Give me that again. I heard it the first time, but I need to hear it again.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I be in the vibe, but listen.
I know.
I said that when it comes to loss, well, you invest in loss. Like you look for as many opportunities to lose as possible, so that you can then find your strength. Because like, I'll use martial arts as an example, right? Like a person says, I have the best technique. They try out their technique, and all the people who they spar with, they can't defeat it. But then they go up against a new style, and the style just wipes them clean. And they're just like, wow, what just happened? I thought I was the best. So they just invested in loss by saying, okay, I see how this person got around what I thought was the best. So then you celebrate it. You may want to train with the person who beat you. You're like, hey, I really enjoyed that, and celebrate the fact that you found somebody who has something new that they can teach you. But then that kind of taps into each one, reach one, each one, teach one. That leads into humility and a willingness to empty one's cup, and willingness to accept the fact that there's something more to be learned or to be refined in what I pursue. So the loss helps to refine the pursuit, that puts pressure on the carbon that is your body, and the experiences and the carbon around you. And it puts pressure, and your energy is in. And so your mind, if you're focused on what you are developing, then your reality will start to part the ways, and you'll get clarity. But you have to be focused, because if you're looking at all these different things, then you're just going to have this mist around you, and it's kind of clear in some places and very unclear in most places. And so that laser focus with your mind, the laser focus with your intentions. So there's no try, there is no should. You either can or you cannot. Maybe right now is not the right time, because that's another thing. I just don't have capacity for it. Sure, I'm capable, but right now I don't have the capacity. So I'll have to circle back and check back in with you. And by check in, find out if that's still relevant for us to pursue, and then make a conscious, collective, synergistic effort of equal amount of force and power. Right? We would use our power. We wouldn't force our way through. That's the other part. It's like not breaking boundaries, but stretching them.
You have a book, right?
Huh?
You have a book, right?
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Wait, what was that language? Yeah.
Words create your world.
Yeah, that was my double positive. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Right in action, right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that book is in the making. It is currently in the non-physical, and it is coming together. I've been putting together information around like teaching those who know nothing about Chinese medicine how to implement this in your daily life and make it like not so heady, but practical, right? I like practicality, like a recipe. The best thing about reading and following a recipe is that you get something delicious at the end of it. And Chinese medicine's got some really cool old recipes just for life. It's a lot of spiritual food.
Well, I'm just going to tell you that being on this show, feel free to go and listen to the last show and this show, because you got some delicious drop bombs in here. That book is like boom, 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 popping. Odelia writes in, that was my next question, Regina, because Odelia was on our show and that is her expertise, right? And so she is someone to like have each and every person get their message, get their story, get that brilliance out on paper. So I was like, you're dropping this left and right. If you're not going to write it, I'm going to steal it and be like, Dr. Dan, it's not like I'm stealing. I will give you the credit, get that footnote, Rise and Thrive, 11,
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, yeah. There definitely is going to be some literature.
So, Dr. Dan, tell us, how can our audience get in touch with you?
Yes, so a couple ways. First one, you can either reach out on social media at dr.dancan. And that's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can reach out on social media, or you can go to our website, Orcanit.com. That's ORCANIT.com. That's where you'll be able to see the pantheon, the 3 different subjects of what we offer: our clinic, our movement studio, and then me. If you want to have me come and speak, or you want to have me come facilitate workshops, or put together some kind of curriculum in order to build your team up and teach them something different, that's what Dr. Dan can do. So Orcanit Wellness, if you need fixing, Chi Up Academy, if you want a lifestyle that serves you, and Dr. Dan can, if you want to smile and heal along that journey.
Well, Dr. Dan, let me tell you something. Somebody on here, one of our listening audience members, wants to be your friend. So reach
Great.
out to Dan. Definitely reach out to him. Just an amazing person. As always, Dan, you drop some bombs when you come here, and you got my mind kerfuffled. Kerfuffled. Yes, I can use big words. Y'all go look that up. Anyway, you will get to see Dan next week on our 1-hour special panel discussion. Let me tell y'all something. Get yourselves together, be open, because you're going to hear some stuff. These are some powerhouses that we are bringing to you. These are not people that's going to play games and make it soft and fluffy and put cushions. You see, Dr. Dan comes in and kerfuffles your whole head and your whole way of speaking. Just imagine him and 3 more like him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we love being here with you. Dr. Dan, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you here in our studio. And remember, together we can rise and thrive. Till next time.